Good morning from Mount Stewart. Well, the weather's turned a bit this week, but we're cracking on as ever. We've actually just finished up one of our main little stints through November here. Rob chatted a little bit about it in one of the previous Mount Stewart moments. It's about timber use and so on, but we didn't really chat that much about why we're doing the thinning work here in this particular compartment. Now, last year you'll remember me talking about some of the thinning and rind barking we were doing over on Patson's Hill, which is just behind Rachel where she's loading the digger there. This compartment on the other side, slightly different approach, mainly because it's only sycamore that's left and there's very little regeneration. So when I say regeneration, here's some of the favoured regeneration we're looking for. There's a lovely nice beach coming from some of the original trees up here on the edge of the estate. In this compartment itself, only sycamore's been grown for the last sort of 30-40 years, and it's made it very dark because it's been so dense. You'll see from the other images attached to this post, so dense, and then the ivy has also gone up every single tree and produced quite a heavy crown of ivy in each single one. Now, we've obviously done the work now, as you can see from all the timber thinnings. I'll just take you inside and actually have a closer look at some of the detail of why we're doing things in a certain way. So we've got a little bit of regeneration in this particular compartment. There's a couple of saplings here and there, but previous to us doing this work, you were walking in here and it was incredibly dark. There was no regeneration and a very, very heavy cover of ivy on the ground. Now, obviously ivy is a pretty awesome plant. It's fantastic for pollinators, birds, habitat and all the rest of it. But in this particular density, as you can see, every single tree right up into the crown, it's actually a bit over the top here. So you can see the sort of coverage that used to be here, and there's no chance for tree seeds to germinate in the ground in here. So as I've been around rounding up the timber, scuffed and lift up some of these ivy carpets a little bit to provide new ground for germination of not just tree seeds but also herbaceous ground flora as well. So we've got nice little scrapes here and there, not breaking the ground, just the ivy itself, just drawing it off the surface. And unusual for us, every single tree that we have left remaining has had the ivy severed on it. Again, part of the thinning works here means we've taken out about 30% of the trees that were here, all sycamore or failing ash. And the remaining trees, obviously, because they are so tall and thin, they then become a bit more at risk from wind blow and wind throw, especially here right on the edge of the estate. Now, I'm just looking up here at these guys. You can see we're a pretty windy day today. They're all swaying around. They're okay in this sort of weather, but they probably wouldn't necessarily hold up having just been thinned to sort of heavy storms. So cut the ivy on these particular ones just to reduce that winter wind sail effect, and then that'll allow epicomic growth down the stems, and we should start getting some lateral spread on those trees, and that'll mean a slightly more complex canopy, and equally enough still has more light getting onto the ground to produce some new tree stock to come up through, and that'll benefit all of the invertebrates and everything as well. So final thing just to mention here, quite a long video today, is we retain about 50 to 60% of the wood that we have thinned and felled out. We actually leave it here in situ, so you can see a lot of the brash stacks have actually been consolidating here and there where we still need to get through, and then there's some timber stacks that have been lined up for extraction themselves. So quite a lot going on in this little small compartment. There's only so much we can do per year without obviously requiring a felling license and so on, and rightly so if we did need to take out more than our normal allotted cubic meterage. But I'd also just like to finish on one of the other little aspects of this compartment. It still has some of these lovely original plantings and tree stock in the estate. And so Rob mentioned this very briefly last time, but you couldn't really see it, but this absolutely stonking mature ash tree here, which you guys need to really celebrate these, because over the coming decades these are going to disappear from our landscape. So we've haloed around this one, giving it as much chance as we can to allow it to survive on and on into its maturity and its old age, and hopefully, you never know, it might form some resilience to ash dieback, which I've talked about before. So head out on the blue trail, and now you can actually see it. Check out this absolutely cracking ash tree. I mean, it is a beauty. So anyway, nice long one from me today, and hope to see you out on the trails as always. Let us know what you're seeing about on the trails, and we'll see you next week.